everyone. This is Oge's podcast, a podcast for social issues that bug us. My name is Ogechi, aka Dr. Mindset. My background is in psychology management and law. I am the lead consultant at Mindset Co, where I help people via life coaching services, dispute resolution, counseling, and resource management. This podcast hopes to blend in fun and facts as we delve into your mindset. Episode 6, Social Looking Glass. So before I start, I know it's been a while since I put out a podcast. I do apologize, but we're back into it. I hope everyone has been keeping safe. My base theory will be Looking Glass Self by Charles Halton Coonley. I think he created this in 1902. Okay, it's basically a social psychological concept that he created, and it says that a person's self-growth. Basically, he states that a person's self grows out of the interpersonal, interrelation, and perception of others. Basically, you develop yourself through the judgments of others. Okay, let's step back a bit. Let's do some history. Okay, so who is Charles Halton Coonley? So basically, he's son of a Supreme Court judge, and he was a professor at the University of Michigan, and his subject was sociology. So he was a professor of sociology, and he remained there in that field until the end of his life. His core beliefs was that social reality was quantifiably different from different physical realities, and hence less amendable to measurement. So you cannot be putting human beings on a scale and balance. We are not like that. We are all social creatures. So hence his core interest in social theories. Now, he discussed the determination of the self through interaction with others. This is what he was mostly meant for. His theory, he theorized that the sense of the self was formed in two ways. Basically, by one's actual experiences and by what one imagines others' ideas of oneself to be. This is basically, all that grammar is basically what he's calling the looking glass self. Okay? And this was his core fundamental theory he carried throughout his career. I know he did other works, but this is the one I'm focusing on in my discussion today, and to delve into the social issue that bugs. Okay, so Charles argued that the ideal of moral units of society involving the quality of loyalty, justice, freedom was basically derived from face-to-face relationships in primary groups such as the family, neighborhood, and your children's play groups. Basically, how does the looking glass self work? Let's look into that one. It says, there are three main components of the looking glass self. So, first of all, you would imagine how must we appear to others. Okay, so you imagine yourself as, say for example, your first day at your workplace. Imagine, yes, I'm bold, I'm confident, I know what I'm doing, I've got the stuff. That's why I got employed. Second, then you now start imagining the judgment of that appearance. So you present that idea of yourself as strong, bold, you know what you're doing, you're confident. You present that to your new members of your team, your co-workers, and your next decision will basically be determined, or your next behavior within that work environment will be determined by how they react to your perception of yourself. So if you come across a little bit too much in their face, they may want to step back, or they may want to engage a bit further with yourself. And then depending on how they relate with you, you develop yourself through the judgments of others. So if they see you, for instance, now as somebody who is indeed confident and a go-getter, you find yourself running lead on projects and presentations and sales pitches and things like that, But if they find you about, nah, I don't really think that he or she is the kind of person that can, maybe you employed as a manager, maybe that they don't think they can run this department, you might find out that they'll always try to get one over you or run you over. And so you find out that how you then relate with your people in the workplace will be determined by what you believe your judgment of you is. Now, people apply this looking glass in their everyday lives because the process of the looking glass itself is complicated by the context of each interaction and the nature of the people involved. Because not all the feedbacks that you will receive from your workers in this instance I gave will carry the same weight. So if you are new in the environment, you're new in the workplace, and your boss gives you that acknowledgement and says, wow, yes, he's confident, yes, he's a go-getter, that will really boost your self-esteem. But as it against when you get like a negative side traction from maybe a junior a subordinate that's supposed to work under you, you'll be like, nah, this person doesn't know what he's talking about. Boss thinks I'm awesome, so I'm awesome. And instead of being boggled down by what the subordinate thinks about you, and that eases out any complications in your mind when you're within the organization. Okay, that's why I said that not all the same feedback you get from people will give you the same kind of feeling per se. Okay, so another one is when say for example you have your father, your mother, your parents, your guardians. They've brought you up, they trained you, their approval in whatever you do is like paramount to your feeling, maybe for that day, month, or year throughout your life. And maybe for instance they keep telling you, wear a tie, wear a tie, wear a tie, and you be rebellious about wearing a tie. Then one day you wear a tie and they say, wow, you wore a tie, congratulations. That kind of excitement, it engulfs your spirit, like, wow, finally I got an approval from them. Or say, I know in this part of the world that a lot of people, well, I don't know about now, but a lot of people don't really appreciate the arts as much as they do careers in science. So being a musician or a dancer versus being a doctor or an engineer or a lawyer, and then your parents are pushing you on to be one of those, be an engineer, and then you have that struggle with them for years, and then you find yourself in the arts. Maybe you love the drawing, maybe that's why they thought you were good at technical drawing, so maybe that's why they were pushing you towards that engineering role whilst you were in school. And you find out that, wow, this art thing, I love the art. And the art is now becoming a way for you to not only express yourself or you appreciate who you are, but also earn a living. And your guardians or your parents start to come around to that feeling, that an appreciation that you have for the arts as well. And they give that validation that, wow, okay, I may have been wrong, but this is working out for you. And that also gives you a sense of joy and pride in who their judgment of you has become. Okay, so that's why I say people may take responses from those who they trust more seriously than those of strangers. So, and same goes for hierarchy. They'll take the responses from a superior more seriously than that of a subordinate. Signals may be misinterpreted, that's true, but people usually take into consideration their own value systems when thinking through changes to behaviors of view of self. Say for example, somebody values their integrity more than they do value their social relations or friends around them. If they're involved in something that will make them seem less of a person that has integrity versus someone that is more social and keeps in line with trends of friends, they will take into consideration that factor more than they will for their friends. Why do we do the looking glass? Ultimately, it's the process of the looking glass is one of self-alignment, getting that balance between what I believe I am versus what every other person in society thinks I am. You find that people constantly seek to create that consistency between their internal and the external world. So therefore they continue to perceive what other people feel about them, adjust their behavior in that light, and strive for that equilibrium through their lives. This is what we find out in going through, say for example, classes in secondary school or primary school. Each time you learn more about yourself and more about the society from whence you grew up in, and you adjust your behaviors accordingly so that you could fit much more better within that society and be more useful to within that society. Say for example, if the environment you grew up in was pretty much a bus park, you'll find out that to survive in that sort of environment, you need to be rugged, you need to be tough, pretty much, and you to be able to continue in the line of which the people around you are working, making sure that the bus park dues are paid and things of that nature go on. You need to have those characteristics, adjust those characteristics, and be perceived as somebody who's tough and takes no nonsense from the surrounding bosses or bus owners. I said again, see, if you grew up in the environment where respect, dignity, manner of speaking is something that is considered very highly, you would also find that you adjust yourself in that line. You enter a room, you greet people, you don't speak loudly, you don't speak out of tone, you don't use curse languages as you wish. It all depends on what kind of balance you're trying to get within your life through the judgments you've gotten via others. So say for example, if you've been cautioned several times for not reading your book, and then you find out, okay, I need to read my book if I'm going to be better in this environment. That's like a school environment. You need to study. If you're not studying, you're not doing your assignments, you're not participating in classes, you find out that you're less likely to be considered as somebody who is serious within the school environment. Okay, so now so finally I wanted to look at the digital media and the looking glass. This is because the rise of social media makes the process of the looking glass and self-identification more complex when we have platforms like Twitter, Facebook, Tumblr, and including dating sites like Plenty of Fish or Badoo, and the corporate socials like LinkedIn. You find that you're connected with people, but you're connected like in ways you've never been connected before, but at the same time you are disconnected from the society, because you're in all those social medias or websites or platforms, you're portraying sections of yourself to the people out there to help you connect with people from that end of the spectrum. However, this exposure leads to an ever increasing number of mirrors. So you find yourself in the one room with so many mirrors you're looking through, and it poses a new question about who are you really when you start finding out, okay, in LinkedIn I have to be all professional and smart and corporate. On Facebook, even with Facebook and Instagram, you find that some people are using it for corporate things, selling markets, selling products and services. Others are using it just as it was intended for initially, a social networking site. That the social media has brought the concept of the digital self or the cyber self, which is now your version of yourself that you put online, is very different most of the time from your real self when you interact with others in society. So you find out that sometimes people post so many different things on their WhatsApp or their Facebook or any of the social media portals, and they might not be necessarily interested in those things, but because that's the target market or the target audience they're trying to reach, they're posting so much information about that, and it happens a lot. Let me use some of the social media influencers for instance. They take random pictures showing they're living the good life or they are being happy, joyful. Meanwhile, if you look behind the camera, you find out that it's all a facade, it's all a make-believe, so that people would perceive them from that glass as people who are living the good life and who are living their best lives, and meanwhile, if they are not. Okay, so I did say that the difference between the cyber self or the digital self and the actual self could be very, very humongous in that light. Though I know the social media has its own downside, but it's also good to look at the positive side from the digital awakening that we've had, and how we view ourselves in the world today, because digital isn't going anywhere. Instead, it's going larger and larger. So things like the YouTube producers, how they go about creating their content, the influencers on Instagram and also Facebook, and they offer a wide range of positive responses to people. So doing videos or writing inspiration or vlogging or blogging sometimes gives people a sense of gained confidence. So they put something out there and they believe, oh yes, people are reading it, people are responding. It gives them that level of confidence, because more and more people are more recluse. It enhances their creativity and it pushes them to be more creative in their everyday works and abilities and their life. So sometimes they may have social issues they're trying to overcome. I see this a lot when it comes to people trying to lose a lot of weight. They put themselves out there to make sure that they are held accountable to their decisions. Say, join me in my 30-day challenge as I lose 50 pounds, things like that. Or they get ready for very special events, Sweet 16 or weddings or anniversaries. Also, I've mentioned about the self-worth that it does add to people, and in sense of if you're using the digital world for professional networking, having those platforms out there portraying who you are, what you do. I'm a plumber, I fix leaking pipes, I'm a roof repairer, I'm a builder, and you show them your works, you show them your ideals, you show them this is what I do, this is what I've done in the past. It helps people make a decision about you much quicker, and it also helps bring business if you're using it in a business sense as well. And sometimes you get that feeling that you're helping others through putting your message out there. There are quite a lot of people who do this now, as a lot of us are still in that lockdown phase or minimal movement phase we're going through thanks to the COVID-19. Putting a video blog out there or an audio or an article out there on the interweb helps people connect with your story and find out that they are not alone, that somebody else is going through the same things they're going through. And probably if you found a way to solve a problem that they are still struggling with, they can take a cue from that as well and help themselves through. They interpret themselves by the judgments from your content online. Okay, I know there's a lot of negativity online, but there's also some social positive spaces that people love to interact with, and it helps their digital looking glass self. Okay, so that's what I have for you today, the social looking glass. Okay, I would love to get some feedback from my listeners out there. If you have any questions about the topic, social looking glass, hit me up at hello@mind-setco.com. And thanks to Ben Sound for the music, Funky Element. Okay, take care and catch you next time.